So just like I and everyone else predicted, this She-Hulk disaster is going to go on for months and months. It's not just going to stop whenever the show ends. It's going to keep on going, and it's going to keep on getting more and more embarrassing for the actors and actresses and the creators who keep on trying to defend this absolute disaster of a show. Let's check it out. If you enjoy videos like this, if you like Marvel news, Star Wars news, just pop culture news in general with no punches pulled, then please hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the video. So like I said, this disaster will not stop anytime soon, and people who are involved with this She-Hulk show, with this She-Hulk disaster, the creators and the actors and actresses are still embarrassing themselves, and it's getting worse and worse. And this time, they just straight up lied. There's no excuses. There's no way of getting around it. They lied. Disney lied. Everyone lied in this situation. So right here, we have a tweet from Jamila Jamil, and this is a kind of an old tweet. It's from October 2nd, but it's very, very relevant to the stuff we're going to be talking about today, to the news that we got today. As a huge Marvel fan, I have loved making this show. It's for the people this genre forgot all these years, and those people love it and thank us every day. We didn't stick to any old formula. Yeah, you got that right. You definitely didn't stick to any old formula, because this show, nobody would ever have dreamed of making a show this bad. And we still make it to #1 in the ratings, and we had a blast making it. They made it to #1 in the ratings. That's very weird. It's very strange how they say they make it to #1 on the ratings. This guy on October 3rd quote tweets this and says, "You are #1 on a single app-based chart." It didn't even make the top 10 on Nielsen. And he gave an article from Game Rant. It says She-Hulk fails to make Nielsen streaming charts, a first for Marvel. That's a shocker, right? I never would have thought that She-Hulk would be Marvel's first show to not make the top 10 on the streaming charts, on the Nielsen charts anyway. On this chart, this cherry-picked chart that I believe that Disney paid people to make. I don't know. This is either a Disney made chart or Disney paid people off to make this chart, because it makes no sense. We have She-Hulk Attorney at Law at #1. We have Andor at #2. Nobody cares about either of these shows. I think Andor on the Nielsen ratings on the original one, it is like #8 or something. But dude, She-Hulk isn't even on it. I know, spoiler alert, She-Hulk's not even on the top 10, and we'll go over that in a second. But look at the apps, the platforms that these things are on. Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Half of these 10 are Disney-owned platforms. Crazy, right? And you might be saying, well, if that's the top 10, then that's the top 10. If it's on Disney-owned platforms, it's no issue. You shouldn't have an issue with that. Now, the issue that I have is this is a straight-up lie. Because if we go to the top 10 on the Nielsen chart, we have Dahmer #1. I think this is since 2020. Oh, no, this is the week of September 19th to the 25th. So this is very recent. This isn't like some since 2020 thing. We have Dahmer, Cobra Kai, House of the Dragon, Rings of Power. Netflix, HBO Max, Prime Video, and the rest are Netflix. There is not a single Disney-owned thing here. That's crazy. And then we go to the originals. Nothing is here from Disney except for Andor. Andor and The Handmaid's Tale. Because I believe Disney owns Hulu now. So Andor did make #6, which is kind of shocking to me, but this is the original. This is, the original shows. This isn't the overall shows. So it makes sense. It's a more condensed list. There's less things on it. And Andor, it's a Star Wars show. It's made by Disney. It's on Disney Plus, one of the biggest platforms in the world. And it's a Star Wars show. So it doesn't surprise me that it's on here somewhere. But what also doesn't surprise me is that She-Hulk is nowhere to be found, even on the original listings. And, a lot of people are making the point that this is the week of September 19th to 25th. So it's about a month behind. Whenever whenever these ratings catch up to the Daredevil episode, I'm sure it will be on here somewhere. Probably, 7 or lower. It's definitely not going to be #1. And this was a straight up lie that it was #1 here. The week of September 19th through 25th. It's crazy. It's the same week. This is a complete lie. Disney paid these people off, no doubt. This article is from Variety, showing the same ratings. I believe this is since 2020, so it's definitely not going to be anywhere on there. Dahmer's on there, though. I find this Dahmer thing really weird. The obsession with the murder mystery, the murder doc stuff is really strange, but I'll talk about that in a different episode. But yeah, still no She-Hulk to be found on any of these lists. We do have Andor there, which is somewhat surprising, but I mean, like I said, it's a Star Wars show, so it's probably going to be on there somewhere. It would probably be an embarrassment if it wasn't. No She-Hulk on any of these. But we still, with that being said, with the absolute failure, the utter disaster that was She-Hulk, we still have articles like this being written. She-Hulk shook up the Marvel Cinematic Universe by being the most MCU thing ever. So the most MCU thing ever doesn't crack the Nielsen top 10. The first Marvel show to not crack the top 10. That's the most MCU thing ever? Because I'm used to the MCU dominating the box office. Guaranteed $1 billion box office movies. That's what I'm used to the MCU being. But apparently the most MCU thing ever is something that doesn't even crack the top 10 on the Nielsen ratings. It just doesn't make any sense, man. And, you know, these people are just going to continue to embarrass themselves for months and months to come. I know how these things work. We've seen this so many times now. We've seen it with the He-Man show. We've seen it with the Santa Inc. show. It's the same formula every single time. Before the show even comes out, they're blaming the istaphobes for review bombing. Then the critics give it like an 80% to a 90%, somewhere around there on the Rotten Tomatoes. Then the audience score comes out and it's like 30%, or in Santa Inc.'s case, it's a single-digit audience score. And then they further blame it on the istaphobes for review bombing. It's never their fault. Every single time. Hollywood has created such a tight bubble that they're so shocked whenever people don't like their shows, even though they're as bad as She-Hulk is, which is one of the worst. It's one of the most disgraceful things that anyone has ever done to a legendary IP that is Marvel. It's one of the most disgraceful things that anyone has ever done, and they can't even see it. No matter how many times they're told, they're on this, like, they think they're above us on this throne where, like, no matter what we say, no matter what criticisms we give, it can't be true. It's either that we're racist, sexist, misogynist, something. There's something wrong with us. It can't just be that they made a bad show. That's not in the cards. And they just think that they're so much smarter than us. They're so far above us that they're just above making bad shows. They're above making bad decisions. And this was a bad show. This was a bad decision by not just the creators of the show, not just the actors of the show, because they're just trying to promote their stuff. I understand. Like, if I was an actor on a show and I saw this chart here tweeted out by somebody and my show was number 1 on this chart, I would probably retweet it too. You know, I'd probably put it out there too. But whoever made this chart was lying, and I'm sure that Disney has something to do with that. I don't want to say Kevin Feige has something to do with it, but this is a lot of Kevin Feige's fault. You know, he's signing off on these absolute abominations of shows. She-Hulk being the absolute worst one. I hope it's a wake-up call. You know, I hope they can sit back and say, dude, we really messed up with that She-Hulk show. Let's never do that again. But I have a feeling that it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, if it ever gets better. I think at this point, the best course for Disney to take with Marvel is to sell it. And I know that would never happen. I know that they'll never sell it, but I truly think that that's the best thing they could possibly do with this show, or with this IP. I think it's absolutely dead in Disney's hands. It's going to keep going in this direction. It's going to keep getting worse. And I don't think there's any way they can turn it around at this point. I think it's too far gone. Let me know what you guys think, though. Do you think that they could possibly turn Marvel around at this point, or do you just think it's going to keep going downhill until it completely dies? Let me know what you think in the comments. If you did enjoy the video, though, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I hope to see you on the next one.